Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Nameless. Now, Nameless is a graphic novel written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Chris Burnham and published by Image Comics. Now, this was published as a limited series in, I think, 2015, but eventually all the issues of that comic book series were put together in graphic novel form. Now, this was actually sort of a blind buy. I came across a copy of this in a comic book store, and I was familiar with who Grant Morrison was because he's written several Batman comics, and mainly it was the cover that caught my eye, and then I started flipping through the comic and saw some of the nightmarish artwork in here, and I was like, okay, I want this comic now. Now, Grant Morrison also wrote the Batman graphic novel Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, which I think is one of the top 3 best Batman comics ever written. In fact, him and the artist for this comic, Chris Burnham, previously worked on Batman Incorporated. Now, Nameless is a very bizarre story. It's a very surreal, nightmarish story, and there's so much that happens in here where I'm not even 100% sure how much of it was actually real or how much of it was a dream. Like, the whole comic sort of follows nightmare logic. And a lot of this you almost have to make your own interpretation of, and Grant Morrison actually said that he wanted this to be read as almost more of a poem than a comic. Now, the plot of Nameless is what appears to be an asteroid is heading towards Earth, and in a desperate attempt to save the world, this group of billionaires enlist the help of sort of like an occult detective or paranormal investigator who's simply referred to in the book as Nameless. Now, the reason they need Nameless's help is because it appears that this asteroid might have magical properties. So Nameless joins this group of astronauts on this base on the moon, and now they're going to try to throw the asteroid off course. But eventually it's revealed that this asteroid was actually made by intelligent beings. It turns out that this is actually the remnants of an ancient alien civilization, and eventually it's revealed that something is being held prisoner on this asteroid. Now, what this thing is, its physical form is held prisoner on this asteroid, however, its consciousness is sort of omnipresent throughout the whole universe. It turns out that this thing is literally God. This book has a very nihilistic take on God, because a lot of people, they want to believe that if God is real, God loves us, and he's gonna take us away when we die. But this book basically suggests that what if what we always thought was God is literally a monster from another dimension? It's also a very Lovecraftian take on God. This is actually a very Lovecraftian story, because Lovecraft, his whole deal was what we think of as gods are actually aliens. Now, as I pointed out before, so much of this comic is sort of left open for the reader's interpretation because there's a lot of stuff here where you're not sure, is it real or is it a dream or is it even a memory? Like, there's a certain point in the story where it's implied that all the stuff taking place in space was a dream all along, but then that scene is revealed to be a dream, so you're really not sure, how much of it is real and how much of it is a nightmare. It's also implied that down on Earth, because of what's happening, society is starting to break down, and there's one shot in this comic, or one panel, where you see, you see a guy getting raped by a police officer while 2 other police officers are holding him down. You see people killing each other in the streets. You see children chopping up adults. It's really effed up. But at that point, you're not sure, is that really what's going on down on Earth, or is that just another one of the nightmares? However, at the end of the comic, it's sort of implied that, yeah, that is what was actually going on down on Earth. And even by the end of this comic, I'm not even 100% sure I know exactly what happened. Honestly, it feels like a nightmare in comic book form, and that's something I really liked about it. And very similar to the works of Lovecraft, this is a very nihilistic story. There's pretty much no hope in this story whatsoever. This also reminded me a lot of the movie Event Horizon, at least all the stuff taking place in space. I also want to show some of Chris Burnham's artwork. I don't want to show all of it because honestly, some of it is pretty graphic, but I just want to show like images like this right here. It has a lot of, once again, it has a lot of this really nightmarish artwork. Here's another image right here. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the God monster. Here's another particularly fucked up scene where a guy's getting his face torn off by a hammer. So yeah, I recommend Nameless if you're into really surreal, nightmarish horror stories, and if you're a fan of Lovecraft, I think you would definitely like this. The only thing I will say, though, is it is very graphic, so if that's not really your cup of tea, like if you don't like stuff that's too gory, or too, like, you know, violent, then you might want to steer clear of this. So that was my review on Nameless by Grant Morrison, and bye.